Wouldn't it be nice if your speed camera tickets were taken care of? Well, for most of us, that's just a fantasy. But not if you're a Montgomery County police officer. A 7 on Your Side I-Team investigation discovered that on-duty cops are getting their speed camera fines dismissed or reduced. 7 on Your Side government watchdog investigator Chris Papst has this exclusive story.
Like many drivers, Lewis Willen hates getting speed camera tickets.
I don't really entirely trust the speed camera system anyway.
And a recent traffic court hearing he attended in Montgomery County only furthered his skepticism.
We enter a plea of not guilty.
As Willen waited to fight his ticket, he watched a man get the violations of 4 police officers quickly dismissed. The officers were not in court. At the time of the ticket, the man admitted they were not on a call. 7 on Your Side obtained that day's court audio. Here's what happened.
We don't have an argument other than that they were working on duty in police cruisers.
Montgomery County, any response? Or?
No, I would confer that they were on duty but not on calls for service at the time the citations were issued.
Court's marked the file dismissed.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you.
All 4 hearings took a total of 1 minute and 48 seconds.
It seemed very rigged. I mean, it was very obvious that the system was being circumvented. How many other times is this happening?
The I-Team wondered the same thing, so we dug in and requested every speed camera case in Montgomery County since January 2013. We checked thousands of names and found 138 police officers who got 151 tickets. Every one of those tickets was either dismissed or reduced. In all, nearly $5,000 in fines were waived. What remained was paid by the officers.
And more officers pay their tickets than they go to court.
Captain Thomas Didone runs Montgomery County's traffic division. When officers get caught speeding, he issues the ticket. What happens after that, he says, is out of his control.
Fair or not, it is our system of judgment.
Have you heard of this happening before?
No, it's the first time. I think it sends a bad message.
By comparison, Frederick County, Maryland Sheriff Chuck Jenkins says in his county, when officers get speeding tickets, he expects them to be paid in full. The same holds true for other neighboring departments we contacted. Montgomery County officers are the only ones that regularly fight tickets.
We are out there to set the example. We're not above the law, and very honestly, how can we enforce the law when we don't obey the law?
I think I'm being treated unfairly. It makes me not want to trust the system.
Do you see why this would make people mad?
Yes.
The voice you heard in court was this man, Jim Shalek, the attorney for the County Police Union. He'll represent any officer who gets a ticket.
These officers put their lives on the line every day, and they're in the car 8-10 hours a day. The police officers feel very strongly that they shouldn't be ticketed when they're working to protect the citizens.
You think that's a valid argument?
No, and as an agency, we want to hold our officers accountable, but we also recognize they do have their day in court.
How about this? 1 road, 2 speed limits, and a camera. Well, that's the recipe for what many people consider an obvious speed trap. It's now been more than 10 years since D.C. installed the first speed cameras, and then ever since then, they've been frustrating drivers. But there's one particular camera that recently caught our attention because this one has generated millions in revenue for the district. Some are calling it a blatant speed trap. So our government watchdog investigator Chris Papst took a look. It's a story that you will only see here on ABC 7.
With all the traffic, construction, and tourists, driving in the district can be frustrating. Some say it can also be unfair.
You think it's a speed trap?
Yes. I don't see how it could be anything but.
The Suitland Parkway at Stanton Road, a 4-lane split highway lined with mostly trees. It's a common highway with a unique feature. Each side has a different speed limit. Eastbound is 45, westbound is 35. A traffic oddity Wendy Kirkpatrick didn't realize until this speed camera, which just happens to be on the 35 side, sent her a $100 ticket.
It's infuriating, just because there's no reason for it.
The I-Team learned in 2014 this camera was the district's second most lucrative, issuing $3.7 million in fines. In the last 4 years, it's generated nearly $6 million for the city.
It is. It's a speed trap.
John Townsend of AAA Mid-Atlantic firmly believes that after seeing this 2013 DDOT study. It was done to justify a speed camera at this location. Based on crash data, it found a camera was warranted, but the study was done based on a speed limit of 45, not the posted 35. A discrepancy DDOT dismissed as a simple error.
That's not ethical. If it looks like a freeway, and it is a freeway, then people will drive at freeway speeds. When you set speed limits that are too low, it's like fishing in a barrel.
Do you see why people would think this is a speed trap?
The Metropolitan Police Department places the district speed cameras. Unlike Virginia and Maryland, where they're restricted, D.C. can put them anywhere. Spokesman Dustin Sternbeck says it's all about
safety. Chris, nobody likes to get a ticket. But at the end of the day, we just want everybody to obey the traffic laws. Safety is the utmost importance here.
Last year, Sternbeck says 3 people were killed near this intersection, and a construction worker died here in 2014. But the I-Team learned half of those fatalities were on the 45-mile-per-hour side.
So if speed is an issue on that road, then the speed limit should be the same through the entire intersection, not just half of the intersection.
Does she have an argument?
That's a tough question to answer.
District speed limits are set by DDOT. Greg Severson, a manager of traffic safety, says the 35 speed is not about crashes or fatalities. It's about direction. Westbound is inbound.
We're reducing the speed limit gradually as we get towards those 25-mile-per-hour locations.
With that in mind, we asked DDOT officials if there are any other roads in the district that have a 10-mile-an-hour difference between inbound and outbound, but they could not give us one. In Southeast D.C., Chris Papst, ABC 7 News.
Tonight, 7 is on your side investigating a red light camera in Montgomery County that some say has been operating illegally. Now, the camera on Georgia Avenue has been turned off by Montgomery County Police since the I-Team began looking into it. But now there are calls for the county to reimburse drivers for thousands of tickets. Government watchdog investigator Chris Papst is live in Silver Spring.
Well, this intersection here behind me is Georgia Avenue and Seminary Road, and over the past 18 months, this red light camera has issued more than $350,000 in fines to drivers going through this intersection, and some say the county should pay all that money back because of the way that camera is timed.
The only thing that's appropriate here is justice.
Rarely have I ever interviewed anyone as passionate as Peggy Lucero.
Anything short of that is illegal and ludicrous and wrong. Wrong.
Last month, Lucero was turning left off Georgia Avenue in Montgomery County onto Seminary Road. That's her dark blue Toyota. A short time later, she got a $75 ticket courtesy this camera, which Lucero says is unfair.
It's made criminals out of people that are doing nothing wrong.
A year and a half ago, the Maryland State Highway Administration changed its policy, mandating yellow light times be a minimum of 3.5 seconds. So the I-Team grabbed a stopwatch. Turns out the turn arrow that caught Lucero is just under 3 seconds. Montgomery County's Department of Transportation has had 19 months to retime this light. It hasn't, yet the camera continues to issue tickets.
I think the county should refund all the tickets that were issued since the standard was changed.
And it's a lot of tickets. The I-Team learned this light is one of the county's most profitable. In the past 14 months, it's issued more than 4,600 tickets for nearly $350 grand.
I have a concern that they were delaying making the change because they didn't want to disrupt the flow of tickets from this camera.
The I-Team contacted Montgomery County, the Department of Transportation, and the police department, but no one would go on camera to discuss this camera. But we did get some email statements. DOT wrote, quote, "The current 3-second timing meets federal guidelines." The county executive's office added, "Avoiding a ticket is simple. Do not enter an intersection when the light has turned red." While the police department stated, even though the intersection was within state and federal guidelines, we decided to discontinue red light enforcement of those lanes until the timing can be adjusted. But Lucero says that's not enough.
This absolutely should be voided. There's no way on the planet this is fair.
Speed cameras are supposed to be about safety. That's what police say. But one camera in the district is coming under fire as critics say it makes drivers less safe because of where it's positioned. 7 on Your Side government watchdog investigator Chris Papst is here with that story. Chris?
Well, take a look at this speed camera right here. Here's the white line of the road. Here's the other white line. This speed camera, this is in the road. Does this look safe to you? Now, some say it clearly isn't, and they want it moved. If you drive north on 295 in D.C., just about a mile past the Maryland line, you'll come to a point where 55 miles an hour becomes 50. Here, you'll find a speed camera that some say is a safety hazard.
That's unsafe. That's crazy.
It looks a little dangerous to me.
The road the camera is on is designated a service lane. It's not supposed to carry normal traffic. But in just a few minutes yesterday afternoon, 7 on Your Side cameras captured plenty of cars on it. That prompted John Townsend of AAA Mid-Atlantic to call for it to be moved.
This is not only a speed trap, it is a dangerous camera location that violates every principle of traffic safety.
This camera happens to be one of the district's most profitable, ticketing for $7.1 million last year. But it wasn't always on this road. This 2014 photo from a DDOT traffic study shows the camera in front of the concrete barrier. But MPD tells the I-Team it was moved about a year ago to protect workers.
We want to make it the safest as possible, whether it's for our safety techs, but also for motorists traveling. The decision to move it back to the original place, that's something we're contemplating at this time.
This is really about traffic safety. It should be on a safe location. It's only a matter of time before that camera is hit.
Less than 1 day after a 7 on Your Side investigation, D.C. police moved one of the most profitable speed cameras. There it is, right in the center of the screen there. Critics said the camera, which made the district $7 million last year, was in an unsafe location. But those same critics now say the new location is also unsafe. Government watchdog investigator Chris Papst has the update you'll see only on 7.
It was just 24 hours ago that the district's third most profitable speed camera was located right here, inside the white line on the road, which critics said was a safety hazard. But today, that same camera is now located here, about 100 yards north from where it was, in between the guardrail and the highway. And critics say this location could actually be more unsafe. Lawrence Saki came to this spot today off 295 near exit 1 to get answers. He wanted to check out the speed camera that recently sent him a $100 fine.
That camera tickets a lot of people.
But when he got here, the camera was gone. Following a 7 on Your Side investigation, it had been moved.
It's probably in a worse spot now than it was in the first place.
And AAA agrees.
It is still a fixed foreign object on the side of the road.
John Townsend says this location is in violation of highway safety. Just like the light poles and road signs, this camera should be outside the guardrail. The I-Team questioned MPD about the new location. We were told, quote, "We decided to move the speed camera to the side of the road out of an abundance of caution."
If someone has an emergency or if an errant motorist makes a mistake, they will collide into this speed camera.
It was a dangerous spot before, and it's in a dangerous spot now.
Chris Papst, ABC 7 News.
Unsafe no more. A highly profitable D.C. speed camera that critics say was in a dangerous location has been moved again.
Yeah, this following a series of 7 on Your Side reports. Government watchdog investigator Chris Papst has the update to a story you saw first on ABC 7 News.
When 7 on Your Side first reported on this speed camera at 295 northbound at mile marker 1, it was here, strangely, inside the roadway.
That's unsafe. That's crazy.
It looks a little dangerous to me.
The next day, Metropolitan Police moved it to the side of the road, but still inside the guardrail, which also didn't seem too safe. So we filed another report.
Probably in a worse spot now than it was in the first place.
Now this speed camera has been moved again, but this time behind the guardrail.
The police finally got it right.
Metropolitan Police told 7 on Your Side in a statement, the second location was never intended to be permanent, saying we were in the process of moving the camera to where it's currently located when you ran this story. But this situation has led John Townsend with AAA Mid-Atlantic to question the true motivation behind this camera, since it is one of the district's most profitable, ticketing for $7.1 million just last year.
It shows you that the motivation here is really not about safety. This is something that you do when you're interested in making money.
Chris Papst, ABC 7 News.